Did George R.R. Martin cook the fantasy market? That is a question that is on my mind. I saw an interesting post the other day where it was on Twitter. I'll link it here if I can find it, whatever. But long story short, he's saying that a lot of people right now, a lot of publishers, a lot of people who are buying books, they're saying, hey, if the book series isn't finished, I'm not interested in reading it. I will not buy the book. Because everyone is so scared of having a Winds of Winter, Dream of Spring situation going on. And to be fair, I get it, right? Like, no one wants to read a book series and then not know how it's going to end. Patrick Rothfuss, I'm talking about you. And I think that publishers are seeing that more often. Much, much more often. No hate towards Martin or Rothfuss, you guys know my stance on these things. But because of what they've done, publishers now apparently are less inclined to buy epic fantasy books. Because obviously the publishers have to see what's going on with the market, right? If the market's saying, hey, I'm not going to read a fantasy book, or I'm not even going to purchase the first of a fantasy series if the series isn't done, then naturally sales of these fantasy series are going to go down. Now you're probably wondering, but Tommy, Brandon Sanderson, he's doing freaking fantastic, and Andrew Giffler, he's cooking, and yada, yada, yada. Fantasy books are doing just fine. Are fantasy books doing fine across the spectrum, across many authors, or just amongst few? Now here's the thing, Sanderson, he has one, a very loyal fan base, and two, a very good track record of writing series and finishing trilogies and yada, yada, yada. Sanderson cooks, we know that, he writes books in his sleep. Andrew Giffler already has a different series under his belt before he started Ironbound. They both have proven track records of releasing quality books. So what about debut authors? The whole point of being a debut author is that you don't have a track record, that this is your first book. And fun fact, most debut authors fail. The reason why publishing houses are able to stay afloat is because they're big headliners like Game of Thrones or Harry Potter or Percy Jackson, yada, yada, yada. They sell so well that they can mitigate the losses on their debut authors or other book series. So long story short, if we're less willing to buy books from debut authors, what happens next? Debut authors are supposed to be the lifeblood, essentially, of the book industry. They are what keeps new talent coming in. In a previous video months ago, I talked about how there's an increasing trend for self-published books to eventually be taken up by traditional publishers, and that's how new people are being discovered and whatnot, especially in the epic fantasy space. And I think that might become more the norm in the future. Unfortunately, as the publishing market evolves, maybe a higher barrier of entry will just become the norm. Who knows? I would love to hear your thoughts on this, guys. Has George R. R. Martin and Patrick Rothfuss, I guess to a degree, cooked the fantasy market because they didn't finish their books? What do you think?